dear. Yes, it looks like it. Pioneers being lost, cut down by riflemen. Or will the pioneers miraculously get out of there? No. They did not. And there we go. Only 2 Pumas and an MG42 for the German troops. Nothing else, although no. Volksgrenadier team is being trained to replace all of the heavy infantry losses the 21st Panzer Division has suffered in the fight against the 3rd Armored Division. And we see the Geschützwagen going out of the Sturm Armory as well. So they're going to be able to deal with those 8 armored cars quite nicely if they catch them. And there we go, Volksgrenadiers being supported by a Puma, taking it out on the riflemen, avenging their fallen comrades and forcing the riflemen to retreat in disarray in the face of superior firepower. MG42 out as well, but that's not going to be able to help against the armored car. Might protect its flanks, but the machine gun crew are now being harassed by the M8 and Panzerfaust going off, and now the Geschützwagen as well, firing its Pack 40 right into the rear of the M8 armored car. The M8 being heavily damaged, trying desperately to get out of the way, but being hunted down by a Puma. And the Geschützwagen fires, scoring a kill for the fatherland. And we have the riflemen once more trying to go for this strategic cutoff point, but being stopped by a Puma right in their tracks, cutting down numerous riflemen and apparently blowing apart some of the wooden fence nearby. Pumas moving in, trying to completely annihilate the rifleman team. Smallfrizzles, or the 3rd Armored Division's complete lack of anti-tank as it's really showing. But here we go, a 57mm anti-tank gun hitting the Puma head on. And what is this? Will it get away or will it be knocked out? No, going out of control, crashing into their barrage and a plume of smoke and fire. Sadly not good, but the Geschützwagen going into Overwatch mode with its MG42 mount and of course the 40mm pack. Quite dangerous, although it will receive some nerfs for the next patch. In fact, less damage, and the MG42 will only be available with the Veterancy 2 upgrade, although it is one of the few units of the Wehrmacht's armored units that actually benefit from this. Most other MG42s that can be mounted, except the Stug and Stu 42s, are pretty rubbish. So keep that in mind. Volksgrenadiers forced to retreat in the face of riflemen with BARs moving in. 3 BARs, so they must have picked them up from someone fallen's comrade. The M51 anti-tank gun not moving forward, staying a bit behind, no support either, a bit curious. I really would have thought he would try and keep his anti-tank as it's close to the front line and try to take out some more Pumas, or at least keep them away alongside the Geschützwagen. But there we go, a 3rd Puma out, and we see some airborne troops, but nothing to actually help them. And let's go have a look back as the 101st are being sent in to support the 3rd Armored Division in the fight against the 21st Panzer Division.
Supply lines are broken. We have territory out of supply.
And Pumas rushing forwards once more. Armored car. Just getting an idea of what is going on. Probably seeing this anti-tank gun moves in through the barrage for a flanking move. But the riflemen do spot this and throw a sticky bomb. It seems, yes, indeed, sticky bomb going off. Probably going to cripple that Puma armored car. Yes, immobilized, rendering it an easy target for the anti-tank gun, although trying its best to knock it out. Main gun destroyed, and the Puma will not survive this. Volksgrenadiers moving in from the north, going to find themselves with a nasty surprise from the riflemen. One Volksgrenadier going down. Geschützwagen moving in to perhaps try to provide some cover, but it's certainly not going to do much with its Pack 40 against these riflemen. Anti-tank gun firing back at the Geschützwagen, doing quite a lot of damage. But the Geschützwagen pulling back in time. What do we see here? Airborne 5 men, no reinforcements apparently, and these riflemen heavily wounded could easily end up being killed. 2nd anti-tank gun moving up. Volksgrenadiers forced to pull back, and we see Captain Frizzle's troops are also approaching from the southeastern approach. Anti-tank guns really holding back, really should consider moving up a bit further up north, I think. to try and range in on the armored car, for example, which is now having a field day on his infantry. Although now getting recoilless rifles for the airborne. A strong position in the center so far, although the airborne looks like they might be slaughtered in cold blood unless they get out of there.
They're taking one of our points.
The recoilless rifle is taking quite a lot of time to research, and yes, airborne infantry has been cut down. A bad move from Captain Frizzle for sure. Anti-tank are now facing off the Puma. And we see Volksgrenadiers charging in on the second anti-tank gun, which has absolutely no support, nothing to defend it. And what is this? A tank depot, meaning that we'll certainly see the main assets of the 3rd Armored Division on the field ready to crash through. But certainly they might also find some trouble in that Geschützwagen, which will certainly clear away some of the armored units that might come out unless they are careful. Geschützwagen not being repaired though, so that's certainly interesting. Volksgrenadiers in a bad way, caught out behind the wreckage of a Puma, finding themselves quickly overwhelmed, might be taken out completely. One of the Volksgrenadiers not making out, in fact completely cut down. What we do see that another team is out on the field, and apparently has been for some time, although damaged, and a Nebelwerfer rocket battery is also on the field ready to provide heavy fire support and bombard the American positions. Certainly not bad. American troops moving in from numerous angles, and we hear the howling of the Nebelwerfer firing away, also known as the Moaning Mini among allies. And what is this? Hitting in here and not really doing any damage, perhaps hoping to hit the anti-tank guns or some infantry, but so far no luck, because he did not have any observers to actually check if there was anything there. That's rather a good thing to do with artillery, actually have something to scout out positions and check there is something where you're trying to hit. Riflemen moving in after these pioneers, trying to seize the central victory point. Pioneers certainly finding themselves under a lot of fire and will probably be lost. Yes, indeed, a bad spot of luck. And the Germans have secured a position on the central ridge, and pioneers are now finally getting about repairing the Geschützwagen. Riflemen moving in, although caught out in the open, being suppressed and hit by armored car fire. Anti-tank guns still not moving in to actually support and take on the position, and riflemen moving in from the west, taking out the Nebelwerfer crew. But now finding themselves under fire from the MG42 on the Geschützwagen, suffering a bit from it, and the Puma as well opening fire. Riflemen certainly not looking to be in a good position, although they have gained metrics 2, and a sticky bomb goes off on the Puma. Might do a lot of damage, or at least damage the engine. There we go. Riflemen moving in for this strategic cutoff point, and we see the anti-tank gun slowly edging forwards, although this one is doing absolutely nothing. And we have the first armored unit out, an M4 German. Question is, how will it be used for frontal attack, which might not go well against this Geschützwagen. On the other hand, if it might flank, or at least try to flank, there might be some success. Puma moving in, flanking this anti-tank gun. The anti-tank gun apparently is not reacting, but now is trying to move into a slightly more secure position where it cannot be circled, but exposing its rear. The crew is cut down. Quite horrific. And we see the riflemen slowly edging their ways forward here. Sherman having driven off everything, but deciding apparently not to take on the Geschützwagen and try to knock it out completely. The Geschützwagen quickly moves in again. The Nebelwerfer still left behind is now seized by the Americans. Takes some fire from the Geschützwagen. Apparently the other riflemen are still providing some fire cover, but apparently decides to retreat, leaving only the Nebelwerfer behind, which is now quickly getting out of there. The rifleman manning it, quickly pushing as much as he can to get it out of there in time. Frizzle having so far secured the central victory point. And we see a large fight is breaking out. Numerous Volksgrenadiers against a single rifleman team. Looks like though the Volksgrenadiers are in the bad spot as they are facing off against automatic weapons, although they might now get away with some overwhelming firepower against the riflemen. Right, Volksgrenadiers pulling back, leaving only one team and the Geschützwagen still. Bit interesting. Bit interesting for sure. No attempt at really moving in some anti-tank assets to protect this area and fire into this area. Still keeping them here. Perhaps not the best idea. Sherman not being repaired. Perhaps moving in again, perhaps trying to flank and take out that Geschützwagen finally once and for all. Riflemen being caught out in the open. Trying to seize this medium munitions point, not going well. Sherman moving in, taking fire from the Geschützwagen. Only one more shot and it will be knocked out. Not good, not good. Really should have tried to keep some anti-tank guns nearby to actually have helped against the Geschützwagen. And oh dear, it moves off instead of trying to continue pursuing, or at least moving in here, and got shot in the rear by the Geschützwagen, crashing horribly. And we see an attempt by the American help Nebelwerfer to bombard this position, but again, nothing there. Again, you really should try and keep some sort of scouting out, and of course no. That artillery like the Nebelwerfer isn't exactly too great against armored units, partly because of speed and partly because they're actually covered in armor. Further Volksgrenadiers arriving on the field, the 21st Panzer Division barely holding on. Still no actual solid veteran grenadiers, Panzer Grenadiers slash sort of only Volksgrenadiers to hold the line, and Pumas and the Geschützwagen, and there we go, strafing run, pinning and killing a bit and forcing the Volksgrenadiers back, although Veterancy 2 is now up. No Veterancy for the armored units, but Veterancy 2 is indeed up for the Puma as well, giving it some advantages in survivability, including making it harder to hit while on the move, although those bonuses will be removed with the patch. Riflemen screaming in pain, and no medic station for the Americans to try and minimize some of the attrition and keep them going in numbers. Nebelwerfer going off, actually hitting something now, forcing the sniper to pull back in face of Nebelwerfer fire, but apparently it was here and not there. That was the center of attention for the Nebelwerfer's barrage. Anti-tank guns still not moving in to try and provide some deeper cover. Support for the riflemen out in the field, leaving them to be cut down by the Puma. Not good, not good. Not entirely sure what he is up to. Floating fuel and manpower, and not using it for either Shermans nor M10s. Might recommend actually using it on one of this. We do see an M10 tank destroyer on the field, but it is hanging around, perhaps waiting for a Sherman so it can do a bit of a larger move against the Geschützwagen and perhaps knock it out, although again, perhaps keeping the M1 a bit closer to the front might also have an effect against the German troops. And we see the Nebelwerfer in American hands, a bit damaged, a bit battered, covered in soot and whatnot. And we hear another strafing round going off, suppressing these Volksgrenadiers, not doing a lot of damage though, only pinning them.